Welcome to The Explainer. Competitive bodybuilding. It's a sport that's all about pushing the human body to its absolute limit. But as we're about to see, achieving that picture-perfect physique can come with a hidden, and sometimes pretty devastating cost.
It really is the question that drives the whole sport, isn't it? How far is too far? Well, a major 2022 review in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health took that question and aimed it right at a very specific and vital place: the kidneys. Researchers really wanted to get to the bottom of what all this extreme dedication might be doing to one of our body's most essential organs.
Okay, so the first big hurdle for researchers is what you might call the bodybuilder's dilemma. See, before you can even begin to assess the damage, you have to find a reliable way to measure it in the first place. And, well, that's where things get really complicated.
So normally, your doctor checks how well your kidneys are working by measuring a waste product in your blood called creatinine. Your muscles make it, your kidneys filter it out. Simple. So high levels can be a big red flag that something's wrong. But for bodybuilders, people whose entire goal is to pack on massive amounts of muscle, yeah, that standard test suddenly becomes a bit tricky.
So what this all adds up to is a huge diagnostic challenge. Think about it. The very things that define bodybuilding, tons of muscle, super high-protein diets, creatine supplements, they all can artificially jack up those creatinine levels. This could make a totally healthy bodybuilder look like they have kidney problems. Or, even worse, it could be masking a real developing issue. And even the backup tests, like one that uses something called cystatin C, can get thrown off by steroid use. It leaves doctors with a really tough puzzle to solve.
All right, so this brings us to two of the most common tools in any bodybuilder's kit: protein and creatine. For years, they've been at the heart of this whole debate. So are they actually the bad guys they're sometimes made out to be? Let's take a look.
First off, the amount of protein we're talking about can be just mind-boggling. The standard recommendation for most of us is around 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight each day. But this review points to case studies of bodybuilders with kidney disease who are taking in 20 to 30 grams per kilogram. I mean, that is just an astronomical amount.
But here's the kicker. This is what's really surprising. Despite those insane numbers, the review found very little direct evidence that a high-protein diet, all by itself, actually causes kidney damage in people who start out with healthy kidneys. Now, sure, it can definitely make things worse if you already have kidney issues, but it doesn't seem to be the main culprit for otherwise healthy folks.
And you know what? It's a pretty similar story for creatine. The paper looks at these wild cases where bodybuilders took extreme doses. One guy was taking 210 grams a day. For perspective, that's more than 20 times the normal maintenance dose. And yet, after digging through all the literature, the authors state that the evidence linking creatine to kidney damage is, and I'm quoting here, inconclusive. The connection is just surprisingly weak. But the whole picture changes, and it changes dramatically when we move away from nutrition and into pharmacology. When we start talking about anabolic androgenic steroids, or AAS, the evidence for kidney damage becomes much, much clearer. So the review explains that steroids can basically kick off this harmful chain reaction. They fire up a system in your body that cranks up your blood pressure, which puts a ton of stress on the kidneys. At the same time, they directly cause inflammation and stress to the kidney cells themselves. And this isn't just theory. This whole cascade can lead to some really serious and often irreversible kidney diseases like FSGS, which is a condition that actually scars the tiny filters in your kidney.
And listen, this isn't just a problem for a few top professionals. The paper says the global lifetime use of steroids is around 3.3%. That's millions and millions of people. And for recreational athletes, some estimates go as high as 18%. The authors are really clear about this. This is a significant public health issue.
But as dangerous as steroids clearly are, the review uncovered something else, a practice so bizarre and so risky that it's really in a category all its own. And it's directly tied to severe kidney injury. You might not believe this. Researchers found multiple cases of bodybuilders showing up with kidney failure who, under questioning, admitted to injecting a substance they just called compound ADE. So, what on earth is it? Yep, you heard me right. This is not a product made for people. Compound ADE is an oily, injectable mix of vitamins A, D, and E, and it's meant for livestock. We're talking cattle, horses, to treat their vitamin deficiencies.
This just shows the extreme lengths some people will go to. And to be perfectly clear, the bodybuilders aren't injecting the stuff for the vitamins. No, they're using it for the oil that the vitamins are suspended in. When they shoot that oil into a muscle, it causes a massive inflammatory reaction, this intense localized swelling that makes the muscle look bigger. It's not real muscle tissue. The paper calls it false hypertrophy. It's an illusion created by inflammation.
And the health consequences of doing this? They're just devastating. You get a massive overdose of vitamin D, which leads to dangerously high levels of calcium in the blood. This extra calcium then floods the kidneys, causing acute kidney injury and a condition called nephrocalcinosis, where calcium literally starts to deposit and harden inside the kidney tissue itself, causing permanent, irreversible scarring.
And all of this brings us to what might just be the single most important finding of this whole review. None of these risks, not the protein, not the steroids, not even the veterinary drugs, they don't exist in a bubble. The real danger is in the combination.
This chart from a case series of bodybuilders who all had kidney disease, it tells the whole story right there. It wasn't one thing or the other. Of these 15 people, 93% were on a high-protein diet, 87% used anabolic steroids, and another 87% used high-dose vitamins. Using multiple substances at once wasn't the exception, it was the rule.
And that's really the bottom line here. The review concludes that the biggest threat to a bodybuilder's kidneys isn't any single supplement or drug. It's the synergistic, compounding effect of hitting the kidneys from all sides at once. You've got steroids causing direct injury, high-dose vitamins causing calcium deposits, dehydration from contest prep, and frequent use of anti-inflammatory drugs like NSAIDs. It's basically a multi-front assault that can just completely overwhelm the organ.
So we're left with this final question. Bodybuilding is a sport of just incredible discipline and dedication, no doubt about it. But as this research clearly shows, the very practices used to build up the body can, when they're taken to extremes and all combined, lead directly to its breakdown. It really forces all of us to ask, in that quest for the perfect physique, where do you draw the line between dedication and self-destruction?